You are tuned to the Nighttime Podcast, focused on the fringe of Canada.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to the first episode of a new series I'll be producing here on Nighttime. Let me start with a bit of background. Since launching this show, now nearly 7 years ago, I've set out to highlight and explore the more fascinating and the lesser-known Canadian people, places, and events. During the show's history, I've tried to accomplish this in a variety of ways. I've done some documentary-style episodes that were based around interviews. I've hosted regularly scheduled live call-in shows, and, of course, I've dabbled in deep-dive multi-parters. Well, in this new series, I plan to mix all those styles together and set the show's focus specifically on current events. But not any current events. This series will be both an exploration and a celebration of all the weird, unique, and unusual stories that have been unfolding over the prior week. To help me out along the way, I've invited my good friend, bandmate, and an all-around great guy to co-host the series with me. You've met my pal Aaron in some prior episodes. We collaborated on the episode covering the Big Ben's murder, Datta, the coyote attack of Taylor Mitchell, and a bunch of others. So he's not going to be a stranger to any regular listeners. You know, in a similar vein to my series covering the Nova Scotia mass shootings, our discussions will be recorded during a live stream on the Nighttime Podcast YouTube channel. So if you want to join us, we'll be doing these every Tuesday night at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 9:15 Atlantic Time, and then the podcast version will be released a day or two later. And also, similar to my series covering the Nova Scotia mass shootings, to prevent the podcast feed from getting too gummed up by this series, I plan to just keep the last 2 or 3 episodes available here on the free feed, but all prior episodes will become permanently archived and will always be available on the premium feed. So let's get into it. Tonight, in the first entry in the Keep Canada Weird series, Aaron and I are going to look at some of the more interesting Canadian stories from the last week. We're going to talk about racist hockey, stolen pet food, UFO politics, and a crappy husband. Aaron, it's time to keep Canada weird, buddy. You feel up for this? It is.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Canada stays weird on its own. It doesn't need our help.
Yeah, I guess we can stoke the flames a little bit, though. We could use it.
Well, I don't think it's stoking. I think it's just celebration.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. We're not here to make things weird. We're not here to stoke the fire. I guess we're just going to, sit back and enjoy it.
Yeah, just casually watching from our window as the neighborhood children run wild in the streets.
Yeah. Canada is a weird place, though, and that's why I thought this series, that's kind of part of the reason I thought this would be a good idea, is there's so many cool, weird stories that they just don't make themselves known. They stay localized. Like being, we're both from Cape Breton, and there was always these, bizarre stories that would play out in the local paper in Cape Breton, but no one else in the world would hear about it or believe it, even if you told them. And those kind of stories happen all across the country. So I kind of thought and I should also say, a lot of those stories, there's just not enough to it for me to make a full podcast episode. So by us taking, a collection of the interesting stories from the past week, I think we're going to have a lot to talk about.
I hope so, yeah, or else this thing will sink very quickly.
Yeah, that's going to get bad if we run out. But I'll tell you, coming up with, even just for tonight, the way I picture this going, and we're going to do this every Tuesday night at 9:15 live on YouTube. Then it'll be a podcast episode shortly after. But again, we'll do it once a week on Tuesdays, and we're just going to kind of grab a few stories from across the country and talk them out. That's kind of the plan. When picking out the stories for tonight, I had a lot to choose from, but we narrowed it down to probably, 4 or 5 stories. But before we get into them, let's start with a bit of an introduction. You've been on the show before. I think we've probably done close to maybe 5 or so episodes, but why don't you...
maybe a handful, maybe between 5 and 7, maybe.
In that ballpark. Tell us a bit about yourself, though, Aaron, before we jump in.
Well, you and I have been friends for a long time. I think our offbeat kind of taste in things connected us early on as soon as we met. Yeah, we played music together is how we kind of started, but we kind of became fast friends when we like to get up to shenanigans as friends do together.
Yeah, we've certainly gotten up to some shenanigans. You're based in Cape Breton, my old stomping grounds,
Hmm.
and you have a background in theater and podcasting. You had your own show for a while there.
I had my own show. Yeah, I slugged it out for about a year and gave up on that because mine was it was kind of an audio drama podcast, so it was yeah, it was a bit too time consuming for me in terms of the production values that had to go into it. So it wasn't realistic to have a regular life and to do that at the same time. So
Yeah, I know all about
uh,
that. But
yeah, so
the difference with our shows is when I had mine or with mine, it's so much just like discussion and there's not as much work that goes into an episode. But you were doing like full radio productions with sound effects and everything else. So it was just
oh yeah, and it was and you're a one person team as you know, so it was like from writing the scripts to casting to directing to sound production, like the whole thing just fell on my back. And then at first it was cool, but then after a few months I was like, I can't keep up with this. This is something that usually a production team puts together. So yeah, so I did a solid year on it and then threw in the towel and decided to move on to other things. So
yeah.
that was that.
Well, let's get into it here. We have a collection of stories that we chose, and I sent them to you in advance. Where should we start with this? I kind of tried to go across the gamut. So we have ones that are just bizarre. I have a story that is, I guess, controversial, but at least something that I think we're both going to have big opinions about. I have
Hmm.
one that's just straight up hilarious, and then one
Yeah,
that's kind of
yeah.
sad.
Yeah. I don't know. Should we save the sad one for the middle, maybe?
Yeah, let's bookend the sad one. Let's start with the one that I think people may have strong opinions about. This is the hockey one.
Oh, yeah. Hockey PEI, I think it was.
Yeah, I'll read you a bit of an article because this is CTV summed it up pretty well. The headline of the CTV article is PEI hockey player fires back after suspension for social media post about racism on ice. And I should say, like, I'm not a big hockey fan, and I know you well enough to know you're not either. But
But hold on,
um,
how do you
I've never heard you mention
let's
hockey.
well, I guess that would be a good clue, but do you think it's do I not come off as someone who would like hockey
You
or what
don't
is it?
seem like you could handle the game.
Ah, well.
No, you seem like the type that in the 20 years that we've been close, it would have come up once. Like people who like hockey, they don't just like it. It's like it becomes a part of their personality. They're curious, intelligent, and like hockey. Like that's how you would describe someone. I would just
Yeah,
if I
yeah.
had to list like 1,000 characteristics about your personality, I would never be like and likes hockey.
Yeah, well, what if I were to put egg on your face and turn my camera around and you see all the hockey posters in my room?
Well, let's just tell me what you're thinking. Do you like hockey now?
uh, Hockey's actually one of the few sports that I would watch. Like, I don't watch sports really, unless it's fake, like wrestling, because I've always preferred my athletics to be scripted.
Mm.
But and hockey isn't, so it doesn't fall into that category. However, of all the games that I have watched over the years, and there have been times when I have been into hockey, because hockey I find to be the most exciting of all the sports.
Yeah, I don't mind watching hockey, but I'm not like one of those people who will see something and be like, "Oh, the Bruins last night," like those types of where you carry on like kind of social stuff around hockey. But I'll watch it, especially when there's
Yeah.
playoffs. Yeah, but getting to this article, one thing that's like a kind of issue within hockey is one is I know violence on ice is a talking point and kind of the opinions on should there be violence on ice, like should they allow fighting and stuff. I know that's changed a lot from when we
Hmm.
were kids. There's more discussion about it. Like I remember being a kid and you would watch we'd have like VHS tapes that was just all like hockey fights and big checks and stuff like that. And it was
Yeah,
such a part
yeah,
of
it
the
would be
game.
like on those like
Don,
blooper VHSs. It would be like the 99 bloopers of the year, but then it would also just be like 200 clips of fights.
yeah, well, let me tell you, as a kid, I remember seeing that as like exciting and like, wow, this is nuts. But as an adult, especially as a parent, I have a whole different opinion. I don't know if I ever told you the story, but I won tickets to the Halifax Mooseheads, which is the local hockey team. I won
Hmm.
2 tickets to go see them. And my oldest son, who you know well, he's very sensitive and not a violent, aggressive person at all. He had never been to a hockey game. He's not into
Yeah.
sports. So I was like, I'm going to take you to a hockey game. Like, this will be fun. We'll get, drinks and popcorn or whatever, and we'll sit and watch the hockey game. He was so excited because he hears people at his school that, have tickets and go to the Mooseheads games. He's like, oh, this is going to be great. And I take him, this is when he's like 7, and we get into
Mm.
the Coliseum or whatever it's called, the arena, not the Coliseum, the arena. And
The Roman Colosseum. Yeah,
yeah,
I'd take him there, and it's just some lying eating a Roman, and it was very distasteful.
but anyway, we get into the arena and he's just blown away at how big it was. Everyone's screaming, they have flags, they're doing the wave. And I was like, as it's going, I'm like, man, this is awesome. Like, my son is loving this, we're having a great time. And then, like, at probably the beginning of the second period, a fight breaks out. And two players like drop their gloves, they're pounding each other. Everyone around us at this point immediately goes from sitting down watching hockey to like standing up, seemingly all, it just became drunk with like rage all of a sudden, like screaming
Mm.
like, kill that mother, that sort of stuff. And my
Yeah,
son, like,
yeah.
I looked, he was horrified. He had never seen like
Mm.
that kind of violence, let alone all these adults around us screaming, encouraging it. And he wanted to leave. So once the fight was over and everyone calmed down, he was almost crying, and we like left the arena. And after that, I was like, they shouldn't have fighting in hockey if they're going to let kids
I
be
think one
there.
of the main reasons that they started to regulate that more was because they wanted to make sure that it was something that a younger demographic could watch, and that
Hmm.
was one of the barriers to it.
Really? Oh, I
So
wish I was involved. I would have loved to tell like someone important that story, because that bothered me. And I'm not one that shies away. Like, I love like martial arts and UFC and stuff, but the difference is in like UFC or martial arts, it's that's a part of it and that's what you're going for. But in this case, the fight in that hockey game, it just seemed out of place from the game that he was expecting to see. I should have probably just prepared him. I never even considered that would happen. So it's partially my ignorance.
I think it was just probably the unexpected chaos that
Mhm.
of that probably spooked him. If he was probably going in expecting that, it would have been, oh yeah, this, I'm used to seeing this on TV. Maybe this is kind of the thing. But I agree, like I don't want to see it,
Yeah.
myself. I don't want to see violence. I want to see the puck go back and forth as much as possible, and and again, I don't know enough about hockey to say what I want to see, but
Yeah. Well,
there, I just admitted it. I know very little about
there,
hockey.
busted. Well, let's get to the story. So, violence in hockey is an issue, as is racism in hockey. Is something that comes up a lot in PEI. It kind of reached a boiling point. So I'll get back to reading the article. So again, the headline was PEI hockey player fires back after suspension for social media post about racism on ice. And I'm going to read some of the article. On the ice, Keegan Mitchell considers himself to be a tough player who can score and stick up for teammates, but it was taking a stand off the ice that got him suspended from the game he loves, possibly for good. In a Junior B game between the Sherwood Metros and the Kensington Vipers on December 17th, Mitchell said an opposing player made an anti-Asian comment to one of his teammates. Mitchell was later suspended 2 games for slashing that player with a stick, who received the same 2-game punishment for his alleged comment. And for people who don't follow hockey, slashing is like a penalty you get if you hit someone with your stick. So it sounds
Mhm.
like one player on the Kensington Vipers said to Keegan Mitchell's teammate and said some sort of anti-Asian comment that led to Mitchell hitting him with the stick. Both players got a 2-game suspension. This happened back in December, but things pick up again shortly. So Mitchell wasn't happy with that suspension. I don't think it was inappropriate, or I don't think it was an appropriate suspension, is what he claimed. But eventually, what happened is he heard, I guess, through the grapevine that he didn't know initially about the 2-game suspension for the other player. I think he assumed more was going to be done. He heard through the grapevine that it was a 2-day suspension only, and that led him to speaking out on Facebook about how much he disagrees with the player who made the anti-Asian comment getting the same 2-game suspension he got for slashing. And I'll paraphrase some of his message, because his Facebook post is really long, but I'll read a little bit of it. But this is his own words, paraphrased from his Facebook post. It says, "For those of you who know me personally or through hockey, I'm almost absolutely certain you'll recognize me as someone who stands up for themselves, but more importantly for my friends and my teammates. It's something I've always done on and off the ice, and something that I'll do for the rest of my life. In a recent game on December 17th, I stood up for a teammate slash best friend slash brother in response to a racist slur against him, and I received a 2-game suspension for what was said to be slashing. During the game, the racial slur was said to my teammate, heard by another teammate, told to our coach, told to the ref, and then brought to the attention of the other team's coach and player, who stated the words I will not repeat right now. In the following days, I received notice of my 2-game suspension and was made aware that my teammate was completing a form to send to Hockey PEI, which is the body who oversees hockey and PEI, organized hockey, about the racial slur for it to be dealt with on an official level. What preceded was a Zoom meeting several days later with my teammate and a separate one with the other player about the incident. Then today, on January 5th, it's come to my attention that the player who spoke in a racist manner was suspended only 2 games for his disgusting actions. If Hockey PEI took these scenarios as seriously as they say they do, this player would have been suspended appropriately. So my question is, and he tags Hockey PEI, when is Hockey PEI going to start taking all racist slurs and comments on the ice into consideration for penalization? A 2-game suspension for a racist slur is disgraceful. Hockey PEI, and he tags him again, when are you going to wake up and realize that this pitiful suspension is making the whole community look racist? So we hear him call them out. I don't think anyone really would have expected them to respond the way they did. And I guess people who are members of Hockey PEI and organized hockey and PEI agree to a social media policy that involves not speaking negatively against the organization or the key players. What they did was they sent him a letter basically banning him for life from taking part. What do you think of this?
I think that's like when they're sitting down and looking at the situation, like, yeah, you have a policy, which the policy to me sounds like, is it happening so much that players are speaking out against you? But I don't know. I don't know enough about what goes on there with locally in PEI, like with hockey. But
yeah, well, I think
when you're using your common sense about how to respond, like, you don't have to just follow your blanket policy. You can use your judgment to say, okay, we have a policy that states that players shouldn't speak out against the organization. But in this particular circumstance, like, if we ban this player for life, how is that going to make us look? Like, who is the public relations individual that thought, like, no, suspend him for the rest of his life and nothing will come of this?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. If you were a PR person, how it seems like he's giving them the opportunity by calling them out publicly. They could react the way they did and be like, you're banned forever because of this rule that you probably don't even know about. Because who pays it? Like, hockey players going to pay attention to this code of conduct for members.
Yeah,
but
anybody, any terms and conditions, I just scroll right to the bottom and click accept.
Exactly. So they could react to it the way they did. The other option, they could use this situation as kind of a launching point to show that they're taking it seriously. And I don't know, and, it just makes something happen. It seems like what they did was doubled down on kind of the worst part of this story. It's almost like we were right. We gave him a 2-game suspension. It was one anti-Asian comment. Like, that's kind of like their response. You're banned forever. Yeah. Like, you can't be you can't be writing about this stuff on Facebook, buddy. But
Yeah, let's get to the real issue here, and that's your social media conduct.
yeah,
That's the
you
only thing
breached
that
it.
we care about. Yeah,
Yeah.
you breached it, and that hurts us.
Yeah. The support he has is completely unanimous. If you look at
Oh, it's a
anything about this,
no-brainer. Yeah.
anything that's posted about this, everybody underneath is like, they're ridiculous. What are they thinking? And I don't believe they've made any statements about it. The only thing with every story though, I should say there's often more to the story. And one thing I noticed is he shared a copy of the letter he got banning him from taking part in Hockey PEI. And in the letter, one line stood out to me as being like, oh, I didn't see that mentioned anywhere else. Is it said that the other team, like the team whose player allegedly made this anti-Asian statement, it's I think they were called the Kensington Vipers. It said, we are aware that the Kensington Vipers are considering legal action against you. And I'm thinking
Oh,
like,
okay.
is that like, I wonder that statement, I don't know what, in reading the article, I don't know what it could relate to. Are they saying libel or slander, or like charge him for assault for slashing the person? I don't know, but it seems like there must be more to it from Hockey PEI's point of view. But on the surface, we know his story and the way they responded according to him, and it seems, I don't curse, but I will say it sounds like BS. You know what that is?
Well, that's not that's not cursing. It's just two letters.
Yeah, but it will, in your brain, it embeds the curse.
To me, it means Bobby and Susan.
Okay, well, it's some serious Bobby and Susan. It's crazy, and it's an organization, whether it's a big bank or a government division or even like an organized hockey group. If they don't take things like racism, like allegations of allowing racism to happen seriously, then
Mhm.
they need to get with the times, because this does not make Hockey Look PEI look good.
Couldn't they have just reached out to the player and say, "Listen, we're investigating this, and we want to get the whole story. Until then, can you take down the post, and we'll kind of get to the bottom of this, and then don't worry, we're still working on it or whatever." To kind of jump to ban the player for
Forever.
life just
Yeah.
seems like to be like, we don't want to talk about it, ban this player, and let's just run away from this.
Yeah, someone in the chat says it's always a mistake to ban kids forever. And yeah, that seems right. So let's move on to, do you want to get into the world of politics in terms of new political parties? Or do you want to get into politics in terms of some politicians are shitty husbands?
Now let's do the husband one.
This is
I'm interested to get your take on this one, and yeah, I want to hash this one out.
My take on this one, for anyone who doesn't know, you've probably heard about this tweet or saw it being covered because it's basically gone viral. So the fool responsible for this is a guy. His name is John Reyes, I believe is the pronunciation. He's an MLA in Winnipeg, Manitoba. His Twitter profile says he's the MLA for Waverley, Minister of Economic Development and Jobs, former small business owner, family man, proud veteran, Winnipegger, Manitobian, and Canadian. So he does say he's a family man, but I would say, based on what I know about his relationships within his family, I don't know what I'll say, but here's what he did is he made a tweet, and I'm assuming that this tweet was to show support for frontline workers, but it sure backfired. The tweet is it is a photo obviously taken out of an upstairs window of a woman shoveling snow. And his tweet says, "Even after a 12-hour night shift at the hospital last night, my wife still has the energy to shovel the driveway. God bless her and all frontliners. Time to make her some breakfast." So before we get into the reaction this tweet gets, what do you think he was going for?
I think he was going for like, you know, she gets home after a 12-hour shift, sees her out shoveling, is like, oh my God, she's unbelievable.
Um, if you didn't know the reaction that tweet got, would you be supportive of that kind of message, or would it have immediately made the hair on your arm
Well, what
stand
I
up
would
as
have suggested to John Race, however you say it, don't post that,
Mhm.
is what I would have said to John, because I'm someone I don't like to post things on social media, but because again, like you can have the best intentions of a post, and then all of a sudden it blows up into something like this, and
Yeah, it's
gets totally kind of taken a different way, can look a different way. And
yeah.
again, I would have said, yeah, why don't you go down, offer to help her, and then take a photo.
Yeah, I'll give you some of the reactions because my favorite part is so there's this kind of idea on Twitter called getting ratioed, and what that
Hmm.
is you look at the amount of likes a post have. So if his post when he made that has say 1,000 likes, if the replies to it have more likes than his post, that means that people are in the comments like bashing him. And in this
Hmm.
case, he got ratioed like as bad as you can. So what people were doing were just to read some things that I saw in there. First thing that I noticed was very quickly someone updated his Wikipedia entry for his political whatever. Politicians have a Wikipedia entries. They in the very beginning they added and they posted a screenshot of this in a Twitter reply to him. His Wikipedia entry now says John Reyes is a Canadian politician and member of the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba, serving as Manitoba's special envoy for military affairs. And then the new line added is he is apparently unable to shovel snow and makes his healthcare wife do it after a 12-hour shift while he takes pictures from inside. Then
Yeah.
one of the and anyway, there's a bunch from there. There's a ton of memes that people made. One is that I really like shows it shows a man looking out a window and he's like drinking a coffee and he has like a bathrobe on looking very
Hmm.
comfortable. It's a photo of that and then they have the caption, I should take a picture.
Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah,
Do you
it
remember
was
any of
good.
the ones that you saw that made you chuckle?
There was one that I saw, a meme where it was like, because he says, "Oh, I should make her." What does he say? Something about
I should make her
breakfast.
breakfast.
I
Yeah.
should make
Or
her
time to make
breakfast,
her
and underneath
breakfast.
is a picture of burnt toast.
Yeah, her breakfast burnt toast. Yeah, I
Mm.
saw a lot of people made fun of that, saying like, "I wonder what kind of Pop Tart he's gonna grab for her." Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you know what? Like, Pop Tarts are really good, and so are its cousin, Toaster Strudel.
no, I'm toaster
Uh,
strudels all the way.
well,
I s-
Toaster Strudel is better than Pop Tarts, but I'm saying that like if someone offered me a Pop Tart or Toaster Strudel, I'd be like, oh, that's good.
um another one that I liked was a meme where it just shows it's the same photo he posted and it says of like her shoveling and it says what you can't hear and then in small letters it's just like her like Jesus John never comes home and
Mm.
never shoveled anything and that's
Yeah,
good
yeah.
too because even just the look of that photo one little thing that did come out of it though that was also interesting is
Oh, is this
she
about the tennis thing?
no well this is her coming to his defense. Did you see
Oh
this?
yeah, I did see this. Yeah, she made a Twitter account just to, and her only post was, I just really wanted to shovel or something like
Yeah,
that.
she came to his defense saying like I just really wanted to shovel and then the people responding to her was the same kind of thing like people were kind of like ripping into her account and having a bit of fun with the replies like some saying like John needs to just give her phone back as if it's like it's him doing it.
Yeah.
But she joined Twitter, follows one
Yeah.
person, which is him, and made one tweet that was all I wanted to do was shovel. Hers also, I think she's also getting ratioed if it is actually her. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, give her back her phone, says Rex Chapman, who is I think a CBC journalist, is even in there
Mm,
having fun.
yeah.
Someone
And
else,
as long as it stays like something like this is like, have as much fun with it, you know, as you want, as long as like they're not actually, getting into these people's lives and actually, causing any kind of trauma
Well,
or
it was
anything like that.
covered like by the international news, so it kind of they kind of did. One person, I'm
Hmm.
just laughing because I'm looking at responses to her tweet. Someone says maybe the choice was shovel snow or go inside and be with her husband.
Yeah, yeah. But that's the thing, like everybody should always get a second set of eyes on anything they're about to hit post on, I think.
Mm.
It's a
Especially a
good,
politician.
especially someone in politics, like just take a look at it and be like, oh, I'm going to post this, but I'm like, I'm going to check it first with, someone and say, hey, is this something that's going to get me completely,
Laughed at
spanked
in the
online?
international press.
Yeah, yeah, the international, any, this is going to get me any negative attention. I don't know. It's just put the phone away and, and open the window and say, do you want me to help or do you want toaster strudel? You decide.
Yeah, it's something. I don't know what he was thinking, but that's one of my favorite stories of the week. I had a lot of fun going through the Twitter replies. Anyone who hasn't, if you go on Twitter and find John Reyes' account and just go through the replies, it is there's some good comedy happening in there.
Yeah, yeah. And I think this is it'll stay entertaining as long as it's again just people having fun with it,
You're
because
so reasonable.
we don't know what their lives are really like. Like maybe, we it's just a tweet, like, to completely take somebody's character and flatten it over one tweet is something that you don't want to see unless it's a really, really bad tweet, I
Yeah,
guess.
good
But
point. Yeah, but
yeah,
it can
yeah.
get that bad. I've seen tweets that are
Yeah,
that
it
bad.
certainly can. This one I think can stay in the lighthearted section,
Okay,
hopefully.
good.
But hopefully, he actually did. Maybe he went down and helped her shovel, or maybe she said, "Don't come down here. I just really want to shovel.
Who
I
really
need to
wants to
blow off some
shovel?
stress." Like there could be a ton of context that we're not really getting, that happened before and after this tweet.
Yeah,
So let's
I
hope that's what happened.
yeah, let's hope so. Although I've never been so stressed that I'm like, I just want to go shovel. Go for a
Oh,
walk.
I have.
Really? You just like
I
stress
I've
shovel?
declined help. Yeah, I've declined help to shovel all the time because like once I start shoveling, like I want to be the one that finishes it. I There's a certain like physical exertion about it that it's like so satisfying. Like and there's so many times where I'm like, you know what? Like just I don't want help
I'm in
shoveling.
the
I want to
zone here.
start and finish this driveway.
Well, I have a snowblower and it's there's no real physical exertion, but I find it so satisfying unless
Oh,
it's not cold.
it's incredibly satisfying.
But just walking through like and it's just this rumble, the white noise, the snow going exactly where I want it. I
Mm.
hate shoveling. It's like it kills my
Oh,
back.
I love it.
I'm not
I
built
have
for it.
one of those. I have one of those scoop shovels. So it's like, one of the big push scoop
Yeah,
ones.
my dad used to kick butt in the driveway with those.
Oh, I've grown up on them because my dad's driveway. It's a
Mhm.
very big, long driveway, and I used to do that thing alone with a scoop. And yeah, I love it.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you found something you enjoy. Um, let's move on. So the first story I wouldn't consider the hockey one. I don't consider that weird. I just consider it like kind of an interesting issue just to discuss. This one with John Reyes, I think it's weird simply because I think it's hilarious. Um,
It's funny.
from here, we can either go take one path towards kind of sad and depressing, or a path
Now's the
toward
time to do the sad one for sure.
okay. Not sad because anyone got hurt or died. It's sad because, and I don't understand this, but the Nova Scotia SPCA was broken into and robbed.
Yeah, it was the Dartmouth one, I
The
think.
Dart, yeah. Let me,
Dartmouth SPCA.
yeah. The Dartmouth branch of the Nova Scotia SPCA, I think is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let
Yeah.
me read you an article to sum up this story. And hopefully, by sharing this story, it'll encourage people to either volunteer at the SPCA or offer a donation or something. So that's maybe the best that'll come of this. So, the headline of the CBC article is Nova Scotia SPCA is seeking donations after thieves steal animal food and beds. This article is from January 7th. The Nova Scotia SPCA is turning to the public for help after the theft of several crates of dog and cat food from its Dartmouth shelter just before Christmas. Now they're quoting someone. When you lose a quantity of food that size, it hurts, said Sandra Fleming, director of animal care for Nova Scotia SPCA. Fleming said a large stock of dry and wet food is stored in a shed behind the Dartmouth shelter, and on December 23rd, someone broke in and stole most of their inventory. It was a significant hit for us, she said. We've had the building back there for 5 or 6 years, and we've never had concerns. The SPCA feeds 6,000 animals per year across the province and receives no government funding. Fleming says they're asking the public for monetary donations. We can't feed a lot of donated food to our animals because they need that continuous diet, Fleming said. We can't feed them different bags of dogs and cat food all the time because it upsets their stomach and it can cause all kinds of issues for us. She said the people who want to help make a financial donation to the organization can do so through the organization's website or by texting SPCA to the number 41010 and donate $20. Due to the pandemic, the organization is asking people not to stop by in person at this time unless they're hoping to adopt a pet. It goes on from there, but we get the gist of it. Who would steal? Like, I know dog food's not cheap, but who would steal like dog and cat food? That's like robbing like a church or a children's hospital or something, it seems.
Well, hopefully the person who did steal it, it's to feed an animal.
But it
It's
sounds like it's a
is
lot of food. It's like crates of dog food. I'm thinking someone bought it and resold it.
That's possible too. I'm just kind of in my heart, I'm hoping that the food went, I mean, eventually it does, I guess, but I'm hoping it's going to someone who can't afford food for their animal. That's kind of the only way to think about it right now, because it's just like it's hard to excuse the pun, but it's hard to digest
Yeah.
why.
And I never thought until I read the article, I never thought of this. Is the SPCA, it says like they can't accept food donations because when you have like a cat, you have cats. When you have a pet, they get like their food that's their regular food,
Mm.
and you can't change it up all the time because they'll get like digestion
No,
problems and
no.
stuff, right?
When you switch a cat to new food, you have to do it, and I assume it's probably the same with dogs. You have to do it gradually over time by mixing it in with the current food they're eating.
Mhm.
And then that way you slowly over several weeks transition them to the new food.
Mm.
So if that animal were to run out of that food and immediately be switched over to a different food, it's very upsetting for them.
Yeah, I guess that just makes it hard for like the SPCA because they probably get so many people donating like food, but it's not like that. They
They
need
can't
like,
just use that food. No, like they need to use the money. I mean, they do take food donations in other ways. Like I know when I go to the pet store, I go to Pet Value, and at the register, certain times of the year, they'll have cans of food, like the wet food,
Mhm.
um, that you can purchase and donate to. But that might go to the Feral Society. I'm not sure.
Mm. Yeah, either way, but this is that's a big hit because it's a certain kind of food that they will likely need to buy. It doesn't sound like it's a little bit. They refer to it as crates of food, and it's basically like their inventory was just like yoinked. And I do think it was for resale. I can't imagine again getting to the idea that your animal needs a certain type of food or prefers a
Mm.
certain type of food. If there is someone out there who needs to feed their animal, they would steal like they would go to and they're desperate. They would like go to Walmart and like steal the kind of food that they feed their dog, not like I need
Yeah,
a year's
maybe.
worth of just whatever I can
Yeah.
get.
And the only reason that I kind of, because they said in one of the interviews I read, the manager of that branch said the reason that we never called the police or went public before about this robbery was because we're hoping that the person who stole this food is because
Oh.
they can't afford it.
Yeah, I'm actually just reading a bit further in the article. The next line is that Fleming talking again. Fleming said they didn't contact the police and are not looking for the perpetrator because they feel it was an act of desperation. If someone's stealing
Yeah,
animal
yeah.
food, we hope it's because they need it, not they're going to do something like sell it. Yeah, maybe that's just wishful thinking. We got a live call here, Aaron. Let's see what's going on.
All right, let's take it.
Hey, caller, are you responsible for the theft of food from SPCA?
I'm not.
Oh, I think I know who this is, though. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, this is Donnie. I'm calling from Sydney.
Donnie from Sydney. How's the bookstore doing, Donnie?
We're doing good. It's January, so we're taking some time now to chill out a little bit.
Mhm.
Spend a little more time with the regulars, do a bit of inventory.
Yeah, you run on paper books on Charlotte Street, so I guess everyone gets kind of like a retail hangover right after Christmas. So yeah, I guess January would be a different kind of month for your type of place. Let me ask you this: so we've been talking about a few stories here. We got the theft of goods from SPCA. We got the horrible tweet. What you got? Any comments on this stuff?
My theory with the pilfered animal food, because like if you rip off dog food and cat food from an SPCA, even if it's like a 1 day supply, it's got to be like 500 pounds of food, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no way that's for personal use. So my bet is that they sell it back to them for like 50 cents on the dollar.
Ooh, yeah, they should SPCA should be looking at who their supplier is.
Well, it sounds like an inside job. Like they're going to get a note that's like, listen, you're going to get these donations to replace the food. We'll just sell you the food back for half of the cost.
And it's the kind you want. It's already in crates.
Everything you need, it's half the price of what you would pay for it if you were just replacing it.
Well, that's an interesting theory. All right, well, we'll talk about that off air, Donnie. Thanks for calling, buddy. I hope to talk to you soon.
Okay, talk to you later.
Bye-bye. I didn't know Donnie was such
Did
an
he
investigator.
all but admit to the?
Yeah, I think he did it. Yeah, he's hoping. It seems like he's in on it with the SPCA is what I got out of that.
Yeah. It seems like he just completely admitted to the whole thing. We got to the bottom of it pretty quickly here.
I disagree with his. I disagree.
Oh
with his
yeah,
theory.
he's pretty off at the mark there, I think. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on then. I got it. So this next story I want to tell you about. I don't know if you know much about this. I may have just kind of teased it to you this morning because this really came out of nowhere. So let me tell you the story of how it came about, and then we're going to very quickly dive into the story. So I have a Facebook group that I'm a moderator for. Meaning when people try to join the group, I see that, it's a real account and I let them join. Or if they make a post, I can see the post before it becomes public so I can make sure they're not trying to sell Bitcoins to people or links to porn sites or something.
Yeah. You're just a kind of an overseer, a babysitter.
Or I call it like a big deal. I'm on Facebook in the UFO
You're a
group.
big deal, yeah.
In the UFO group.
That's what I call you too. Whenever I'm not around you, I call you the big deal.
So the group's called UFOs Above Canada, and it's a spin-off group from a series of episodes I had about the UFO topic in Canada.
See, I always thought that you started the UFOs Above Canada Facebook group, but you didn't?
No, I started it, and I'm the moderator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's a few of us. Jason Newman is a guy from Newfoundland, and he kind of leads the moderation, but I'm in there as well. So when someone joins, I get like a notification on my Facebook account or when they leave a post. Right. So I like that because then I get to see when someone makes a post, it's usually something like, I saw a UFO in Saskatchewan, and it's photos. So I'm like, oh, cool. But I saw a post the other day. I'll bring it up on screen for anyone who's watching this on the live stream, and I'll read it to you. So the post includes a photo that shows like an alien on like a stairway to heaven or something. The words on the post on the picture say Armageddon equation, and below it says Stargates, aliens, and human sacrifice. So it's just, I don't know what this picture even means. It's just a bunch of kind of deep conspiracy stuff. But here's where it's interesting. What the poster says in their post is, do you live in Ontario? Are you an Ontario voter? We're seeking support for a UFO disclosure political initiative in relation to the 2022 Ontario election. Please send me a private message if you'd like to help with our official petition efforts. We're seeking to collect a targeted minimum of 4,700 additional signatories who must be Ontario voters, and we're seeking to get on the ballot. So what that tells me is that when I see this post, I think, oh, wow, this group is trying to get into the Ontario election and get onto the ballot with a platform that somehow connects to the UFO topic. So I'm immediately...
Yeah, they want the disclosure of all UFO information that the Ontario government has available to it.
What they're looking for is a political solution. What I'm hoping that they're looking for is a political solution to the UFO problem. Mm-hmm. That's how I'm thinking it's going to be described. So what I did was I write to the account that posted that, because I'm thinking there can't be a lot of people involved in this. It's probably one person. So I write to this person and I say, hey, I'm an admin for this group. I'd love to hear more. And if you're interested in sharing the story, I'd like to have you on my podcast. What they responded is, cool. We're seeking to register an Ontario political party that advocates for openness about UFO and alien related issues. Then they say, I'm actually just a helper. Our leader is Ray Samuels. And then they give me a link to their website as a way to try to point me in the direction of Ray Samuels. So when I go to their website, I'm looking for a section where they describe their platform. What I find instead is a ton of stock photos of people giving thumbs up. Like their Facebook or their website, if you go look at it, you would think that they have all these young, attractive supporters because there's all these people with their thumbs up, high-fiving, looking great. But when I reverse image searched every photo on their website, it's used on a billion websites, so it's just a bunch of
just stock photo kind
of stuff.
Just a
ton of stock photos of people who are also selling orange juice on other websites, kind of thing. But the section, juice. Well, just as an example.
Oh, okay. I thought orange juice might have been some kind of UFO term that I'm not privy to.
No, I just mean it'll be like someone with a bright yellow shirt on the beach high-fiving someone. And when I reverse image search, I see that same thing on some orange juice stand ad or, the same photo all over the place.
Yes, okay, I get you.
Anyway, and the reason I said orange juice, because that was one of them that I reverse image search led me to an orange juice company somewhere in some country I had never heard of. But anyways, when I found the section that describes their political platform on their website, nowhere does it mention the UFO topic. What it does do, though, is rattles on and on and on and on about COVID and government mandates and masks and vaccinations and all that sort of stuff. So it seems like that's maybe the majority of their public messaging, but it didn't stop me from trying to get to the bottom of this Facebook post. So I wrote a message to Ray Samuels, who's the leader of the group. And I just wanted to ask him, what do you got going on? What does it have to do with UFOs? And are you interested in talking to me about it? He agreed. And I saved probably 3 minutes of my conversation with him. And I'll share it with you and you can tell me what you think. And I will say I removed a lot of it because he went on a bit longer than we have time for. And he did talk about how his group opposes vaccine passport mandates. I'm not even entirely
right.
I left that out because I just don't want to make people enraged. I was more interested in what he had to say about the UFO problem. So let's listen to him.
Okay.
I just kind of wanted to learn a bit about you. Could you just tell me a bit about who you are and what it is you're trying to do?
Okay, so it's the our movement is the Ontario People's Front. Mm-hmm. We are in general we support the affirmation of human rights, environmental protections, freedoms, and a just society for all. So that's our themes. But with respect to the UFO issue, our focus is to support a safe space for people who are interested, who are concerned about UFO-related topics, to come together and to discuss these issues. So that's what our sort of focus politically is. So we're trying to create that safe space, just like how you see in the media. You have programs on ancient aliens, and you have various, initiatives out there. We're trying to create that sort of corresponding safe space in the political context.
Is a part of your plan to change the political handling of the UFO issue, or is it more so to provide people a platform to safely discuss these matters? Like, what I'm wondering is if you believe that there could be a political answer to this question of the existence of extraterrestrials communicating with Earth.
Well, I think the political answer lies fundamentally with people elevating their own sense of self, their own sense of human consciousness. And once they elevate their sense of human consciousness, then they're in a position to support a society where the discussion and openness on UFO and alien matters will be handled in a more sort of mature way. But my concern is that basically our society is a tissue of lies upon lies upon lies. So talk, for example, going to the supermarket, I mean, from us as a conscious shopper myself, I don't buy 95% of the things. I would not buy 95% of the things in the supermarket because I'm aware of their origins. Likewise, if we had disclosure in the supermarket, you would have like aisles where, you go to chicken and they would show you slaughtering of a chicken, slaughtering of a turkey. Oh, by the way, where you're getting that cereal? Oh, by the way, what are the additives in there? If you had a supermarket that, that talks about everything that is to need to know about products that are in there, most people wouldn't buy. And then you would have a situation economically where, like people lose their job because people are not buying cereals, people are not buying chicken anymore, et cetera. So there are people definitely in the society which are at the elevated state of consciousness that they can discuss alien matters and stuff like that. But that's why in our approach, in terms of the Ontario People's Front, we're saying, okay, for those people already, let's have a safe space to talk about these issues.
Now, tell me, as someone who's looking to, really kickstart this grassroots movement in a political campaign and try to actually get on the ballot, what's next for you to get your party actually on the ballot? Like, what hurdles are in front of you?
Ontario People's Front, our name is registered. So we have a reserve. So we're reserved as far as elections in Ontario. So the next stage we're at right now is that we're trying to collect, as you mentioned, a certain amount of, as John, in that Facebook post, a certain amount of signatories. So we invite people, your listeners who are from Ontario, if they want to participate in getting our name in the ballot, and if they're interested in UFO issues and want that safe space to talk about that politically, we encourage them to go to our website, ontariopeoplesfront.ca, contact us if they want to sign our petition. We're also inviting candidates, people who want to become candidates in the election as well. Our goal is a full slate of 123 candidates across Ontario.
I had to laugh as I was playing that. I saw Donnie, who had just called in the chat. He wrote, elevate human consciousness. Those are lofty goals. I wonder how Doug Ford will respond. What do you think of Ray's ideas here?
It sounded like, my impression of it is that he's using the UFO approach to probably encourage to kind of gain attention, I guess. Because it seems like his main issues are with what's in food, as opposed
based
to,
on that. Well,
based on that, what you played, it seemed like he's got a bigger fish to fry with the grocery stores and with big cereal than he does with the Ontario government revealing UFO documents.
Yeah, well, I liked how he talked about how ancient aliens, like there's something on TV that ancient aliens, it seems like he wants like kind of have like something like the TV show Ancient Aliens, but in the political space. And I just try to imagine what that's like, and I'm like, yeah, it seems like maybe you're onto that.
But I think he's more thinking about ancient grains, the bread that you buy from
Yeah.
Dempster's.
Oh, it's good stuff. I have a weird story about Dempster's. I'll tell you right quick. When I first moved to Halifax, I was at the grocery store with my brother. This was at a superstore on the south end of Halifax.
Yeah, I
Um,
used to go to that one when I lived in Halifax.
and we were grabbing a couple groceries. So we had like, and again, this is my first time in Halifax. So in my mind, I'm in like the big, scary, dangerous city. And
Mm.
we were in the bread aisle and grabbing our groceries. And I remember I like reached down to grab bread and I just happened to grab Dempster's. It was probably on sale or whatever. It's not like my preference. It's just what I grabbed. I don't remember anyone else around me except my brother and I. And I think I had like the basket in my hand, reaching down, grab the bread. And as I was like kind of lifting myself and the bread up to put it in the basket, I just had like this agonizing pain in my hand. I dropped the bread and I realized that I was hit by something. And there was this like old lady that looked like a stereotypical witch, like just really old. Didn't look like she was in good health. And she was holding her cane like it's a weapon. And I realized, and immediately I'm like, oh my God, she just like whacked my hand. And then in this like awful voice that hardly sounded human, it sounded like something out of like a H.P. Lovecraft book or story or whatever. She just uttered the words. She goes, Dempster's is sour. And I was like, oh, you don't like Dempster's? And she repeated it, Dempster's is sour. And then I grabbed a different type of bread, put it in the basket, and my brother and I walked off like, what was that all about? But she like, my hand hurt for like 2 or 3 days after that.
Well, you know what that was?
I think a witch. What do you think?
No, it was the first candidate for the UFO Party of Ontario.
They're called the Ontario. I edited this out, but when I started the interview, I got their name wrong. I said something else, and he corrected me with the Ontario People's Front. But yeah, that could have been the first
Yeah.
candidate. But I couldn't really understand how the UFO topic fit into their platform. It seemed to me like you got this you're set on the grocery store analogy that I didn't completely
Mm.
understand. But what I got was it seems like their goal of elevating human consciousness is kind of like they want to run in Ontario and make the effect that they have on the people. We want to like remove all the kind of the facade over everything and reveal the truth so you can discuss matters like the UFO topic or what's in your food. I guess I don't know how that works politically because it seems like there's a lot more that the government of Ontario needs to deal with rather than elevating human consciousness. But meh,
Mm.
I guess my thought, and by talking about them and playing that clip, I in no way support this group. I'm only interested simply because if anyone, and I say this often, if anyone starts a political party that involves the UFO topic, or if you start a cult that in some way involves UFOs, or if you commit a crime that relates to UFOs, I don't know what that would be. By default, I'm interested in talking about it.
Yeah, I think that's probably the thinking behind this particular political party
Do
is,
you do you think it's a marketing thing?
oh, it has to be. UFOs are the hottest they've ever been.
Mhm. And they
If
only
I was going to
need
start anything, I would throw a UFO sticker on there and say, all right, we're off to the races.
well, they say they only need 4,700. They call them signatories. I think in order to actually get in the election, you need to have like 4,700 people like
Yeah, I
support
think
you.
it's probably different province to province, maybe, but I would say that's yeah, all you need to get going. And if you think about it, like yeah, if we kind of reach out to the UFO community first, who think that we might actually be able to achieve, getting documents and information released about UFOs in Canada or Ontario or wherever.
It's
And
specifically
but then
Ontario.
the real thing is getting to the nitty gritty of the arrows that are on the aisles in the grocery stores.
Yeah. Well, like I said, if you go on their website, it's so much of it is about COVID and masks or not masks, sorry, vaccinations and all that
Yeah,
stuff. So
yeah.
that seems to be they're at least publicly and forward facing. They're big motivation.
It just seems that like they talk about UFOs, but then when they start to get, like when you go to the website or when you hear him, then when they start to get riled up, it seems like there's bigger issues that they're looking to tackle, and the UFO thing seems to almost just be like, there
we'll get to
probably
that.
is some general interest in them. Like, yeah, if we did, conquer Ontario, we would definitely release these documents, but for whatever it is they're in search of, there's another pun for you.
There you are. You're good at this.
Yeah, I'm filled with puns tonight. It's the Fudgios I ate earlier.
Well, I think we've gone through, I guess, 4 or 5 topics. I think we've done our part, at least for our first mission here, of helping keep Canada weird. There's a lot more weird stories we'll get to. I'm already working on some stuff for next week, so we'll collect our thoughts from our first rodeo here. But I think next week we'll come in hot with a couple good stories.
Yeah, and let's all go out and donate to the SPCA.
Yeah, that's a good way to end this. I think we should do that anyway. I think they're doing good work.
Yeah, I've done it before, but
not only donate to SPCA, you should, if you're looking for an animal, get it from the SPCA.
Get it from the SPCA, or also just go and walk a dog. Sometimes it's good to just go down and I don't know if they do that now during COVID though.
Oh yeah,
that used to be something you would do before COVID. You could go down and walk a dog.
And I'm sure everything's changed with COVID, but they used to accept volunteers and stuff too. But I think like an easy way, if people have the financial means, is just to make a donation. That money is going to go.
It's a tax. You can. It's a tax donation, so you can claim it on your income taxes as well.
Another thing too, maybe you can talk on this as we go, is like a lot of people have got animals during the pandemic because they're home more. But I think like it's important to make sure that you can handle it and you take care of your animal. But if for whatever reason, if something in your life changes that you can't, the SPCA are the people that you turn to. So we should support them. We need them in our society.
Oh, absolutely.
For our furry friends.
Yeah. Totally.
All right. Well, let's go out with an encouragement for everyone out there to do their part in keeping Canada weird. If you come across any cool stories in your town that we may not have heard, I'll have a way you can contact us in the episode notes, in the episode description. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll keep Canada weird together. I want to thank you for joining Aaron and I in our Keep Canada Weird discussion. But before we part, I have some thanks. First, a big thanks to Aaron for sharing an evening with me and with the listeners of Nighttime. But most importantly, I have a massive thank you to everyone who listens to Nighttime, as without your interest and your support, the show would be as pointless as it would be impossible. But with that said, keeping the show alive is and has always been an uphill battle. So if you plan to take some weight off the show's back, do it by listening on the premium feed. Not only does it make the show possible, it'll also give you more of each episode than you'll find here on the free feed, as prior episodes are always available and exclusive content is added regularly. So for about the price of a cup of coffee, help keep the show alive by listening at patreon.com/nighttimepodcast. And with that said, let me thank the newest subscribers to the premium feed: Colin, Bridget, Captain, Susie, and Faye. Thank you for going premium. And for anyone else who'd like to support the show but can't do it via the premium feed, you can give me a big hand by simply sharing this episode across social media and letting some like-minded friends know what we're doing here. If you have any weird stories you want to share, or if you want to give feedback on this show, you can reach me at nighttimepodcast.com/contact, or find me on social media. I use Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and of course I'm often live on the Nighttime Podcast YouTube channel. So until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and let me know if you see anything weird.
The Nighttime Podcast is written, hosted, and produced by Jordan Bonaparte. Copyright Jordan Bonaparte.